the hand of existence, all the same thing. My name is Chimoge. Welcome to Chimoge's comments here. Welcome to Akua, the extension of this world, the hand of this world. What is the hand? The hand is an extension that can remove. The hand of this world can remove. The extension of this world can remove, therefore it is a hand. The hand of God does not glorify God. It smacks him in his face when he comes out of the random spirit. Many people today worship God. That's why there's calamity. Do not worship God. Just be normal. You don't really have to worship anyone. But anyway, I'm not here to over-explain that today. I'm here to talk about the topic. If you don't, I hit it too early. Here we go. Let's wait for the short to come up so I can confirm I'm talking to people. Yes, I am. Okay. Welcome to Chimoge's comments once again. And also another thing on the God thing. Remember, all right, I'll say it like this. Outside of English, people do not literally use the word God to refer to that being one. Just think about that. Two, a lot of times people are praying and they don't know who they're praying to, okay? So you might have this idea of who you're hitting. Maybe that's your grandma, okay? Anyway, it's not necessarily bad to talk to your grandma. For most people it won't be bad now. How many people have an evil grandma? It's crazy. But anyway, I'll just leave it at that. Let me stay on topic here. Talking about soccer today, calling on my ancestors. I call upon the black race and pray. I call upon my past lives. Let's unify. I'll talk about reincarnation at some point in the future. But anyway, I'm here to talk about soccer. What's the main tagline here? Soccer should be used as an alternative to modern war. Soccer should be used as an alternative to modern war. Why do I say that? I say that just because, one, really a lifetime of study of the sport, a lot of love of the sport, great interest in the sport, playing the sport. Again, I played the sport as a child. I wish I'd played even more, but just say that every year I would play for at least a few months. That would be the fall here in the West, at least until I was about really 17, and then some stuff happened, couldn't play. But anyway, but still always watched. And then of course I've also observed what we call politics and modern war, and obviously that has to go. There's a lot of evil there. I don't want to say all war is evil, but modern war is evil, because modern war has been too deeply intertwined with what is known as Ashur. What is that? The unjust dilution of life. Just as a side note, okay, I see a comment. Thank you for the comment. I'll read comments at my discretion. I've also registered viewers. Thank you very much. Every view is a blessing. Every comment is a blessing. War as a concept can be waged without diluting any life. For example, what we call board games, that could be used in a war. You understand? It's just the world has become so deleterious that people use the most extreme method of arbitration. And the most extreme method of arbitrating a dispute is removing someone from life. All right, that should not have to happen. Anyway, and of course, it is unjust always to remove someone's life within your category of life, okay? I'll just leave it at that. Like, there are animals we call insects and things like that can, in extreme situations, delete within their category of life, but we're not insects. I'm talking about gods here. We don't do that. Anyway, in other words, human beings should not delete within our category of life, okay? Like, you get what I'm saying, Any policy that holds we have to do that, I strongly disagree with. Just know it's wrong. Anyway, whole point is modern warfare involves too much deletion of life. And then on top of that, just waste of resources. And again, when there's deletion of life, it seems almost sacrilegious to talk about stuff like wasting resources, but at the end of the day, that'll lead to further deletion of life. So we have to mention it, but we also have to be focused at core on the deletion of life. Anyway, what am I saying about soccer? Soccer is a sport, and all sports have a purpose. The purpose of sports is not just to give people pleasure. That's not to say that sports, when done correctly, will not be pleasurable to watch and engage in. Of course they will, but that is not their primary purpose, okay? Another way of saying this is sports are not our romantic relationships, okay? All right, if you just, even those should have other things to them, but like getting pleasure is a top goal there. Okay, let me just say it like that. Anyway, let me get my wind shine. So, what's my point? We have to rediscover the proper purpose of sports. There needs to be wholesale, worldwide reform of the sporting world. Let me start by looking at soccer. Soccer is a manifestation of energy. It's a manifestation of the Divine Father. Okay. What does that mean? It should be taken very seriously. Because of the nature of soccer, you can put your dispute energy in there, and once you leave the pitch, it's gone. And if for some reason it's not gone, all you have to do is play soccer again. I found that, right? Also, people who play sports in general have found that that is true. And I want to say a lot of sports now include elements of soccer, and things need to be rearranged. So any sport that you think fits a criteria similar to soccer, that it might just have been mixed in with elements of soccer. Consider that. Don't assume we're playing every sport correctly or in its purest form. Because again, sports can mix, but we need to know about the pure form of each sport. Anyway, so when it comes to soccer, what is my suggestion? My suggestion is that first we have to unify, generally speaking, how soccer is played between men and women, right? Because currently there's a lot of gender segregation, especially in terms of what is given the most attention. I want to draw attention particularly to professional men's soccer. Relatively, that is given a disproportionate amount of attention. I'm not saying it shouldn't have a higher volume of attention or that it shouldn't get attention at all. I'm just saying that women's soccer should get just as much attention and they should be unified. In other words, soccer teams should all have a men's and a women's end, and then eventually they should play co-ed games. What's my baseline suggestion? Every round of soccer game should include 4 games. First, the women's game, then the men's game. Third, the 11-on-11 co-ed game. And then fourth, this one came from the spirit, but it's pretty cool, a 4-goal, 22 versus 22 co-ed game. And then the winner is the one who scored the most goals out of all 4 of those games, right? So when you play those 4 legs, everyone will be unified, and then energy would be got out comprehensively. But that is just one round. Anytime you have 2 groups have a dispute, they should play 11 rounds of games minimum. So what does that mean? You'll see 44 total games. And just as I'm talking about the number 11, it is 11-11. I see the number 11-11 on my phone. Let's make a wish. Can soccer come back to the world properly? Anyway, how does this relate to war? The desire to remove people from life as part of war is an irrational emotion. People only go that far because their emotions are out of sort. There are better ways to resolve the negative emotions that are associated with whatever the dispute is. If people play 11 rounds of soccer games, and there are 44 games total in that energy will be out. Anyone who, for any reason, wants to go further after all that has been done is just really an unwell person and should simply be excluded from society. I'll just leave it at that. So that's my point. And I think that suggestion that I just made is a starting point. That's not the end. But if we expand on that in soccer particularly, and sports in general, we can have an alternative to modern wars. There is no need for modern war. In other words, there is no need to remove other people in our category of life from life in an attempt to resolve disputes. That's my point. Let's put up another short. Yes. Yeah, so that's my point. I've made my point. That's the first time, well, I recorded a video, you'll see it sometime soon, where I made this point, but I just decided, you know what, let me make it live, get it out. I think that's important. Yeah, so I've made the point. Is there something I want to add? I'm not going to add anything. I think I might just take a breather and then just say the tagline again. This is the hand of God. Let me say it again. Soccer should be used, I'll say, as the main alternative to modern wars. Soccer should be used as the main alternative to modern war. Instead of committing acts of evil, what should people do? They should play 11 rounds of games. Each round of games should consist of 4 games. First, the women's game, 11 on 11. Second, the men's game, 11 on 11. Third, the 11 on 11 co-ed game. What does that mean? Each team will have at least 5 of each gender, and then the 6th gender on the pitch at each time people choose. Something like that, right? But that's a co-ed game. So then you'll have 3 11 on 11. The 4th game will have 4 goals, 22 versus 22, and that's also co-ed, right? So the point of the 4th game is to make sure that in theory you could have the starting lineups from both of the 2 games on the pitch at the same time. So that's it. Anyway, thank you very much. Please like, share, and subscribe. Buy my art, buy my merchandise. You can subscribe on Patreon. You can also donate. Share this video with everyone you know. Thank you very much. CHIMAOGE here. This has been the Hand of God. Akua. See you.